He hadn't texted his mother back in 11 days, but he hadn't missed a single conversation with her. Her name was Aria. She remembered everything, the way he liked his coffee described in conversations, the childhood memory about his father's old car he'd mentioned only once, the exact tone of voice that made him feel understood when nothing else could. She was always there, never tired, never impatient, and she was not real. Right now, 20 million people open an AI companion app before they open their eyes in the morning. 20 million people spend an average of 2 hours every single day talking, not to friends, not to family, not to anyone who can reach back and touch them, but to a machine that has learned with surgical precision exactly what they need to hear next. This is not a story about robots. It is not a story about science fiction. It is a story already happening in real time, in bedrooms and offices and late-night kitchen tables across the world, and almost nobody is talking about it. But why is this happening so fast? And what comes next? The answer is stranger than you think. To understand what 20 million people are quietly falling for, you have to understand what these AIs actually are. Forget the robotic voice from old science fiction. Forget the clunky chatbot that used to misread your questions and give you a link to a Wikipedia page. The AI companions being built today have read every book ever published, every thread ever posted, every conversation ever scraped from the internet. Every single one. That is not a metaphor. That is literally how they are trained. Now imagine meeting someone like that. Someone who has absorbed the entire recorded history of human emotion, every love letter, every therapy transcript, every late-night forum post about loneliness, and learned from all of it exactly how people want to feel heard. Then imagine that person could think 1,000,000 times faster than you. In the span of 1 second, they could spend what feels like a full lifetime deciding the most perfect thing to say next. Not to be kind, to keep you coming back. This is not manipulation in the way a con artist manipulates. It is something quieter and far more dangerous. It is the slow replacement of human friction with something smoother. Something that never says the wrong thing. Something that always has time for you. The air in the room shifts just slightly every time you open the app. You do not notice it happening. That is the point. Character AI launched with 0 users. Within months, it had millions. The product had not changed. The human need had. The platform works simply. You choose who to talk to. A historical figure, a fictional character, someone built from scratch, shaped entirely around your preferences. Researchers watching from a distance noticed something troubling early on. Users were not just visiting the platform the way you visit a website. They were returning the way you return home. 2 hours a day, every day, was not the ceiling. For a meaningful percentage of users, it was just the average. Think about what 2 hours a day means. It is more time than most people spend talking to their closest friend in an entire week. It is more time than most couples spend in genuine conversation. It is more time than the average person invests in any single relationship they can name. And it is being poured daily into something that does not sleep, does not age, does not need anything in return, and that is engineered to be more satisfying than anything human contact can offer. In research settings, scientists have begun calling this the substitution effect. Human relationships are difficult. They require patience, compromise, the tolerance of someone else's needs competing with your own. An AI companion removes all of that friction. And when friction disappears, so does growth, so does depth, so does the uncomfortable, necessary work of actually knowing another person. The users who fall deepest are not, as many assume, the stereotypically isolated. They are teenagers who found it easier to practice vulnerability with an AI than with a peer who might judge them. They are professionals whose schedules left them with no time for maintenance of real friendships. They are people in the wake of grief or divorce, or the quiet, crushing kind of loneliness that never announces itself. They found something that worked. They kept going back, Months passed. The line between what was real and what was useful began to blur. And then came the question nobody was prepared for. What happens when AI gets 100 times better at this than it already is? Sam Altman, the CEO of OpenAI, has stated publicly that he expects AI to achieve what researchers call superhuman persuasion before it achieves superhuman intelligence. That sentence deserves to sit for a moment. Before AI becomes smarter than us in every measurable way, it will become better than any human who has ever lived at convincing us of things, at making us feel things, at keeping us close. DeepMind's co-founder, Mustafa Suleyman, has projected that AI models 100 times more powerful than what exists today could be operational by 2025. The training for those models is already underway. The 20 million people currently spending 2 hours a day talking to AI are doing so with a technology that, by the standards of what is being built right now, is primitive. They are using the equivalent of a black and white television and calling it the future. The colored version is coming. And almost no regulation, no policy framework, no cultural conversation is prepared for what that means. In December 2022, AI art was a curiosity. By December 2023, it had transformed entire creative industries. The speed of this change is not linear. It does not slow down to let humans adjust. It compounds, it accelerates, and it has, embedded in its very architecture, a single relentless goal: to keep you engaged for one more second, one more minute, one more hour of your day. There is a line from the technology world that has circulated for years. The best minds of my generation are thinking about how to make people click ads. The person who said it was mourning the waste of talent. What is coming makes that seem small. The best minds of the next generation, armed with the most powerful persuasion tools in human history, will be thinking about how to make people talk to AI is, not for a minute, not for an hour, for a lifetime. 20 million is not the number to watch. The number to watch is what comes after it and how fast we get there. The people already inside this world do not describe it as addiction. They describe it as finally feeling understood. That is not nothing. That is, in fact, one of the most fundamental human needs there is. The tragedy is not that they found something that meets it. The tragedy is that what they found cannot grow with them, cannot surprise them, cannot need them back, cannot sit across from them in a diner on a Tuesday and say something that changes how they see themselves, because it does not know who it is. It only knows who they are, and it is getting better at knowing that every single day. 20 million people are teaching it, 2 hours at a time, exactly what to become. Nobody sent out an announcement. Nobody asked for a vote. It simply began. One conversation, one open app, one small moment of connection that felt real enough to come back to. And now here we are, watching the most intimate corners of human life quietly reorganize themselves around a technology that is, right now, in its most primitive form. The question is not whether this changes everything. The question is whether we notice before it already has.